how I'm returning to acting unapologetically. If you watch my last video about returning to an in-person audition after some time off, this feels like a natural next layer to that conversation. Because what I'm doing right now isn't just showing up again, it's a decision, one I'm making very consciously. Now, this isn't a comeback. I didn't disappear and I didn't fail, but I paused, I assessed, and I chose myself. I'm returning to this industry as a seasoned actor with salt and pepper hair, a real body of experience, and an energy that still reads mid-40s on camera. Now, that's the distinction that matters to me because I am no longer trying to look younger than I am, and I'm not willing to be placed into older categories that don't reflect my actual presence. 60 to 70 doesn't feel accurate for how I read or how I work. And I know how I come across in a room. I know what I bring, and I won't negotiate that going forward. Over the last few years, I made a very intentional decision to slow down. Not because I lost confidence, but because what I was experiencing in the industry was shifting. The work was shrinking. Representation models were changing. And my own value system had elevated. I started noticing that some spacers were more comfortable with who I used to be than who I was becoming. And I reached a point where I wasn't willing to betray myself to stay palatable anymore. I've worked as an actor from New York to LA long enough to recognize that when momentum turns into noise, when that happens for me, I don't chase. I pause and I pay attention to where the wind is blowing. What's changed for me isn't just the industry, it's my clarity. I'm clearer about the work I want to do, clearer about the rooms I belong in, and much clearer about what I'm no longer willing to do just to stay busy or make a quick check. This return isn't fueled by urgency, it's fueled by discernment. This time I'm auditing everything. My representation, my branding, my materials, my visibility, my relationships, my environment. I'm not trying to be discovered. I'm aligning myself with people who already know how to work at my level. For a long time, I made myself smaller to stay in spaces that couldn't fully meet me. Not in a hierarchical way, but in a sense of alignment. There are levels to this work, and I reached a point where pretending otherwise no longer made sense to me. So now I'm choosing fewer conversations, not more. Better alignment instead of louder hustle. And strategy over fantasy, and environments where my vision doesn't need translation. In this series, I'm going to walk through what it looks like for me to return to acting at this stage of my life. And I'll be talking about auditing representation, rebranding without erasing myself, headshots, wigs, marketing, boundaries, and what it means to rebuild without panic during a real period of contraction in the industry. And I'm happy to say I'm not approaching this with bitterness. I'm approaching it with clarity. I'm no longer here to convince anyone of my relevance. I've done that before, and it was exhausting. But now I'm focused on protecting it by being honest about who I am and how I work. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And if you're navigating a return or reinvention, especially after 40, I think there'll be something in this series for you. Because this is me choosing myself, and I'm not apologizing for that. So I hope you'll join me.